everyone, and welcome to this Tell It webinar, The Rise of Industrial IoT and Connected Machines. The Industrial Internet of Things is revolutionizing manufacturing, with the global IoT connected machines market projected to reach 1.3 trillion by 2027. At the core, sensors are enabling connections throughout the value chain, from people to machines to data, providing complete, real-time operational visibility that is improving decision-making, efficiency, quality, and creating new service opportunities. Just before we get started with our topic today, we would like to understand what you consider the level of digital integration of your connected manufacturing machines. So if you could, please take a second to fill out the poll question, which you'll see on your screen now. Thanks. I would also like to encourage our audience to check out the resources section in the upper right-hand corner of your screen for some additional information on today's topic. Also, feel free to ask questions. We will follow up with you at the conclusion of the webinar. Let's get started.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Boranello, and I'm the head of Tell It IoT Platforms. It's a pleasure to be here with two of my colleagues that I have the deepest respect for them. John Keever, our CTO, and David De La Rosa, head of DeviceWise for the company. John, thank you so much for joining. You have an incredible history with the company since the times of IBM and the moment that you took this company to run a spin-off to the moment that it was acquired by Tell It. Tell us a little bit about how this dream of bringing IoT for manufacturing started.
Thank you, Ricardo. I'll be glad to. It all started back in the early 80s, actually, when IBM had a vision for computer integrated manufacturing, and a lot was going on in the industry at the time, a lot of focus on industrial robotics. The IBM PC had just been announced and was finding its way to the shop floor, and we had the opportunity within IBM to go and leverage how to deploy that. The goal was to put IBM's at every PCs, this predated laptops, IBM PCs at every workstation, and then connect them into the sensors and controls and start monitoring and using that technology that way. And over the last 30 plus years, it's evolved and evolved. The equipment has gotten smaller, it's gotten more powerful, the interfaces have gotten richer, the protocols have become better defined. But really, the goal is always how do we improve the overall productivity and yield and effectively get more product off the assembly line at the end of the day. From our perspective, we've had the chance to grow, across many different platforms, many different operating environments, support many different types of devices, but also with the acquisition by Tell It, then the ability to then scale down into smaller footprint products that could be used not only for industrial manufacturing, but industrial, IoT as well. So it's really expanded our horizon significantly.
Thank you so much, John. And David, you are a big reference in the industry with all the years of experience in the multiple sectors that you supported. How do you see IoT evolving today in the reality of manufacturing companies?
Yeah, IoT is an integral part of the mantra of be more profitable, produce stuff more efficiently, product more efficiently with less cost and staying compliant. So the more connected your production infrastructure is, you'll be able to yield the benefits of lean manufacturing, produce more goods, better goods at a lesser cost and being compliant. So that the advent of IoT had made it easier to realize finally this vision of all machines connected, talking to each other without a ton of configuration and need of services.
That's great. You know that IoT can be disruptive in all different types of industries, from connected cars to connected factories to connected homes. In terms of the software approach, we're putting a lot of emphasis in terms of bringing the best technology out there to really bring the revolution on this industry. And in this approach, we decided two types of use cases, one that we call connected factories and one that we call connected machines. John, describe us a little bit, what is the Tell It approach for connected machines and why this is so unique for the market?
Absolutely. Well, connected machine takes the basic premise and concept of what goes into connected factory, all the industrial protocols, the event-based behaviors and things of that nature, and then extends it outside of the four walls of the factory to where it can have an external communications, a cloud connector and whatnot, whether it might be cellular, Wi-Fi, or any form of communications, but also the capability to reach into the cloud to then support, big data, back-end analytics, machine learning, things of that nature. I would say the biggest single thing that it provides is the capability for a manufacturer to extend the life cycle of what they're actually manufacturing. And rather than it rolling out the door and that's, serial number XYZ manufactured on this date, go install it and good luck. The capability to continually remain connected, to continually be able to reach out and help and optimize and improve and update. And of course, it completely redefines what you can do from a support perspective, the capability to remotely access the equipment, to provide updates and all of that. It really kind of extends the life cycle to where you truly have what starts maybe with the concept of a digital twin, but then throughout the life, shows an entire maturity until it's time for replacement of the technology.
And John, I like a lot what you just described because this is changing the reality, not only on the technology level, but also on the business model in terms of how you can change the way that you do business by having this type of remote connectivity. How can I provide better services for my customers? How can I transform my machines in machine as a service? How can I sell spare parts and how can I increase the productivity of my machine, becoming a better supplier and helping my customers to have better production floor? And this is a big trend in the industry. And this trend is also seen, David, in the shop floor, right? So tell us a little bit in terms of how DeviceWise today is being deployed by some of the largest companies in the world to increase their productivity.
Yeah, sure. So DeviceWise is leveraged in many of our customers because allow the easy integration of production systems with quality systems, with ticketing systems like IBM Maximo, SAP PM, and the like. So we have a no-code approach to solving this. So it is very beneficial for customers because basically they could do all this integration rather quickly. So it used to be science projects, large consulting engagements, and now it's a matter of a few days and your factory is running without any issues. Now you have access to all the systems at your fingertips. You don't need to have these large integration efforts like I mentioned before. Also, one trend that we are noticing now is because we have very rich data, there is a lot of machine learning stuff and artificial intelligence happening so that they could predict maintenance cycles. And again, integrated with the IBM Maximo and the SAP PM is a simple solution for us with our product.
And David, before joining Telit, I came from Siemens, and I spent a lot of my career on the shop floor and knowing different types of production lines. And one thing that I learned was there's no factory alike. Every factory is different from each other. You have different types of machines, protocols, systems to be integrated. How can Telit support customers in terms of integrating the different legacy machines? And also on the IT side, there's also a lot of different types of IT systems, vendors, and methods for you to ingest data. How this can be done with such a complex environment?
Right. So our product has a tremendous amount of connectors. They're high-speed, low-latency connectors for a variety of devices like PLCs, CNCs, robots. For systems that are very old, and in factories you have things that are 30 years old, maybe they don't even have a serial port. We have a device called Smart I/O that allows you to instrument and bring to the IoT sphere these old machines. So it's called the Smart I/O. And now even your legacy machines could take advantage of this IoT infrastructure. Same with IT systems. So the traditional relational databases, Of course, you could exchange information, send information, retrieve information, but also we support things like HTTP or RESTful and web services, and many systems support this approach. So for us, it's very easy to interconnect the shop floor, almost regardless of the equipment, to any IT system with very little effort. So very simple integration with our software.
That's very interesting. And John, I recently I read one article from McKinsey, and they say about the huge impact of IoT in all the different sectors. But one thing that caught my attention was McKinsey says that about a third of the economic output comes from industrial applications, where companies can optimize and reduce their costs anywhere from 5% to 40%, depending on the level of maturity that they are on the digitization process. With your experience, what are the different industries that you see adopting this type of technology? Can you give us some examples in terms of different industries that are connecting their assets and taking the advantage of IoT?
Absolutely, Ricardo. I mean, we see more activity at a greater velocity than ever, and the concept of digitization and integration, companies will actually have focus on that, and it's really very broad. I mean, obviously, industrial manufacturing is a key because there's so much data and so much interaction and transparency there that you've got to expand on for the digital divide between IT and OT. But when you start expanding beyond that into the broader world of transportation and logistics, where now you can have connected containers, whether they're on land or on sea, whether your modality of communications is cellular or satellite, it doesn't matter. The ability to get to that data. You go to healthcare, and clearly healthcare has always been somewhat advanced in the way it integrates stuff, but now more than ever, due to the same types of influences we see in manufacturing, we've got normalization as a protocol, more powerful processing at the edge, and I would say a lot of the influence, grows from the richness of the edge maturity and also the capability now on the back end to have the different types of, meaningful applications to actually process the data once you have it. But healthcare is another, area where we see expanse of integration as well happening faster than ever. And one of the challenges you always have is you need that domain expertise. Clearly, you don't want to wander into a domain to provide a solution that you don't understand. But what we do have, just due to the nature of our technology, it's a very good foundation technology to address all of these different industries and these different requirements.
That's very interesting. I know that we have today more than 200,000 tractors connected in our platform. We have thousands and thousands of CNC machines connected out there. We have thousands of packaging machines being used in the industry. And we have a very unique use case as well for industrial kitchens, where we have more than 18,000 restaurants connected. How can the restaurant industry take advantage of industrial IoT?
I'll be glad to take that one, Dave. You may want to add some too. I mean, I did need to address it, but clearly, the foundation statement is knowledge is power, right? The more you know about what's going on out at those endpoints, at your stores, at your manufacturing line, at your pump station, the better you can control it, the more effectively you can do business, and the more profitable you can be. And clearly, that's true in the fast food industry just as much as it is on the plant floor. I mean, it's effectively a factory for food.
That's absolutely right. And David, when we are talking about manufacturing, every second counts. So latency can be a very critical factor for the success of manufacturing process. And sometimes collecting data can disrupt your ability of really producing things as fast as possible. How do you see device-wise playing in this environment where latency can be such a dangerous thing?
Well, we have our drivers, our device connectors have the least latency in the market. They are the fastest connectors out there. And you don't really think about latency so much until you realize that 3,000 minutes of idle time eliminating 3,000 minutes of idle time produced $19 million of revenue for an automaker. people normally don't look at a transaction, but in aggregate, it's real money and it's money to the bottom line. So having very little or no latency connectors is a financial necessity to make your enterprise successful and more profitable.
Absolutely.
3,000 peanuts, $19 million.
Yeah, no, it's, 1 second of latency doesn't mean anything. Repeat the same thing 1,000 times a day, and now you realize how much money you were losing with that, and your ability of really ingesting data in real time can significantly improve the throughput of these machines. I think this is great. And this also brings me one extra topic that is very trendy in the industry, that is the usage of 5G technology on the shop floor. And there are many benefits for 5G. John, how do you see 5G transforming manufacturing today? How DeviceWise can really leverage the new private 5G technology out there?
Ricardo, I think private 5G is going to be a game changer. I know that people obviously have been waiting for it in the context of, basic communications and video streaming and things of that nature. But actually, 5G, and you referenced specifically private 5G, 5G from a standard is actually the first one of the telecom implementations that actually is aware and has context of IoT and machines. So the capability to take that technology to take advantage of the low latency capabilities of it and then to bring it into the context of a private deployment really redefines what a manufacturer can do. It gives them the capability to have a dedicated infrastructure, a highly customized and optimized infrastructure exactly for what they need it for. Plus, it gives them the security that they feel they need as well. One of the biggest challenges in the industrial domain over the years, David and I can tell you that if you went into a plant and you said the word cloud, 5-7 years ago, they'd have probably kicked you out on your ear because it's like, we don't do that here because we don't trust it. But now, obviously, as everything's evolved and become more mature, they see the power of it. And obviously, the cloud brings Industry 4.0 to life. So now if you extend that with the capability to have private LTE where it's a dedicated, highly optimized and secure environment at that plant or production campus level, it really gives you the best of both worlds, the flexibility you need, the interconnection that you need, as well as the security.
Yeah, no, I think this is really great. And the ability of Telit of really understanding the edge to the deepest level possible in terms of collecting the data with drivers written bare to the metal to guarantee real-time data collection, the ability of doing all this transformation, the ability of having everything deployed 100% on premises or leveraging the cloud technology. I think it's something that puts the DeviceWise technology in a complete different level. And David, there is a brand new product that Telit is releasing that is being extremely well accepted by the market that is called DeviceWise View. What is DeviceWise View and why this is being so well adopted in the industry?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, DeviceWise View is a product offering that now allows you to visualize all your plant floor information, your process information, your matrix, your KPIs, your OEE on a browser. So a very simple drag and drop building tool that you deploy in any browser, whether it's an iPad, an iOS, or an Android. And now you have your information basically everywhere. So finally, all these process insights into your floor, into your operations come to life on a web browser. It's very flexible, it's drag and drop, and it's the information flows to it on a real-time fashion. So your information is very lively. You don't have to refresh. The data is updated on its own. It's one of a kind in the industry.
And I saw one video of DeviceWise View that was published in the Telit YouTube channel. And basically the first comparison that comes to my mind is like building a whole application is very similar to building a PowerPoint presentation that you just drag and drop the widgets, you appoint to the variable, and now you have the live data coming from these machines. Do you think this is a fair comparison?
Yes, and that was the intent, actually. The intent was to make it very intuitive and easy for any individual in a production facility to drag and drop and visualize the data. That was the number one design criteria, to make it as easy as a PowerPoint.
It's really, really incredible. And John, I see many of these super powerhouses of technologies, companies like Microsoft, AWS, Google, really investing a lot in terms of having more tools and functionalities for industrial use cases. How you see this type of technology integrating with IoT platforms like DeviceWise?
That's an excellent question. It's one that we obviously get asked very often with customers, where they'll say, "Well, we're a Microsoft shop, or we're an AWS shop. How does what you provide provide a different functionality?" And I think one of the strongest things that we bring to the offering is the capability from a cloud perspective, due to our strength at the edge, is to provide effective device management, and due to our heritage in the connectivity market, the capability to provide connectivity management. These are not the kinds of things, that one of the big data, service-oriented, machine learning type of platforms is going to focus on. The ability to provide very rich device management, not just firmware update, but the capability to manage that life cycle, to be able to update the software, at a component level if needed, the ability to reset that device, the ability, if the device for some reason loses connectivity, to come in at a lower level and be able to communicate through SMS or whatnot to restore the operations of that device. So some capabilities there. And then, of course, on the connectivity management side, the ability to go beyond just worrying about the data flow, but now worrying about how is the connection actually being, functioning. Are there ways to improve the connection, or do you see certain behaviors throughout the time of day for that connection? It provides another entire dimension of how to effectively manage those endpoints.
And John, I see that Telit has a very powerful approach to the industry, given the hundreds of drivers that you have available. So basically, if I have machines that are running on Siemens PLC, I can use an S7 protocol and collect all the native data from these machines. Or if I have a FANUC robot, I can use the driver for the FANUC and collect it. However, in some cases, the existing native data might not be enough, depending on the type of objective that I have. So external instrumentation may be required. How do you see Telit ingesting different types of data? Do you have the ability of collecting data from sensors that are wireless and easy to be deployed, and how you can aggregate this data to your process data?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we that grew out of our development and support in the world of IoT. Where all of a sudden you had the need to bridge wireless sensing devices, where it happened to be something running a LoRa protocol or a Bluetooth protocol or something of that nature, and then bridge that back into the gateway. And we've actually had customers recognize us for the fact that we could bring LoRa sensor data right in beside logic controller data or BACnet data for building automation, because as these buildings, facilities, and manufacturing lines improve, the demand for wireless space sensing, for very low cost, easy to install sensing, and of course with private 5G, that's just going to continue to expand as well. So the ability to aggregate all of that data, bring it together, and then have it view like in DeviceWise View or any other component of our system, the logic, the upstream communications, to have all of that data normalized and transmitted, is also a very powerful feature of the architecture that we've deployed.
This is very exciting. Another trend that I see in the industry is cameras being used as a sensor. So you are pointing at a camera to a certain process or to a certain product and using the visual analytics to inspect a certain product and get the results out of this. David, is there any solution that I could aggregate the data from the machine, now from the wireless sensors using LoRa technology, as John also mentioned, as well as images coming from the systems and analyzing these images to take decisions on DeviceWise?
Yeah, so DeviceWise has an extension called IBM Maximo Visual Inspection. It's just one of the products out there in the market. There's other ones. And basically, you could instruct an iOS device to snap a picture and do an inference, a machine learning detection or defect detection right on the iPad. So DeviceWise has all the hooks to trigger and to display the inferences or the results for like a defect. And in addition, it doesn't necessarily have to be an iOS device. It could be an inexpensive camera, and then we deliver this photograph or picture to a system that has tons of GPUs in it to also do the same thing. So with the advent of the cameras and the GPUs, now we have an eye, so to speak, on the process. Now we could detect defects that you couldn't see. If you use thermal imaging, for example, you could see below the surface now because the temperature distribution is different. In aerospace, this is big. For motors and engines, this is important because now you could see inside, sort of like an X-ray. So device-wise has components now that allows this level of integration into your process.
That's exciting. So just a final question for you guys so we can close this session. John, if I work for an important machine builder and I want to take the advantage of IoT in my market, what would be your recommendations for us to start?
Well, I think, first thing to do is understand what the requirements are, look at some of their challenges. What are their biggest pain points? If they had the capability to have, to be connected to that machine well enough to feel like it never left their plant floor, their shop floor where they built it, where they tested it, to build the ability to remotely access that machine and get to that same level of detail, that same level of configuration and update, how would they use it? How would they take advantage of that? Would they now make the machine, like you said, machine as a service, approach the market completely differently? It can really redefine the way they take their products to market. It's not just selling, some type of capital equipment now. Now it's actually selling something that become an annuity that can expand and grow, as the customer needs, where they take an active role of adding value on a month-to-month, quarter-by-quarter basis. And of course, that creates a much more, tight relationship with that company to grow as that company grows and be part of their, their plans and their strategy.
That's interesting. And David, my final question to you is, if I work for a large manufacturing company and I want to make sure that I can improve my productivity, increase my quality, can IoT help me, and what would be the first steps on this direction?
Sure, of course, IoT will help for sure. IoT provides, of course, requirements is a big thing. Pain points, what is it that you have a lot of scrap, you don't produce enough in time, quality is not so good. All those areas can be addressed with IoT, and we have the tooling to help customers realize this vision in a very simple manner with no code.
That's very exciting. Guys, thank you so much. David, thank you. John Keever, thank you so much. It was really great to have you guys here, and I hope you guys also enjoyed the video.